Hello, Sharif here. And Monday morning for me, well, it's Monday afternoon for some of you. And we're going to do another exploration of the view inside the chrysalis as our butterfly is emerging from the goo. And looking forward to our some more highlights on our journey to a new reality. Um, as I said to you, we're going to wrap up our 12 global challenges circle of challenges with the last four today. Let's get started with our meditation. And I do not have my meditation timer with me, so I'm going to have to set another timer. Um, and I hope this is not an indication of my focus today. Um, I'm doing, I have I hope a really good presentation for you, but gee, I forgot my timer. Okay, so but we set the timer for 5 minutes and my alternate timer for 5 minutes. And I invite you to meditate with me now. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Then another deep breath. Hmm. Sink into your heart space. So if we can get ready to come back to our center here. And as you feel ready, come back. Feel free to open your eyes and let's get started. If that felt like a weird time frame for you, my timer quit in the middle of the job, so that was my best guesstimate there. If you're a regular meditator, you know that sometimes your meditations feel like they go on for hours and hours, and it's been 10 minutes. And sometimes it feels like it's only been 10 minutes and you've been there for an hour. So we're going to get started today on a couple of things. Number one, I'm using a little bit. I'm still trying to feel my way through this StreamYard streaming platform, and so I'm going to try to do something a little new today. New to me. It probably, if it goes well, it'll look the same to you, and if it doesn't go well, it'll look screwed up to you. Let me get started by saying that I told you that there was a name change for the book. So I showed you my working title and my working cover for the book some time ago. The in the new cover, the title, "The What the Baby Looks Like," got dropped, and so it's the Birthing the Nation of Gaia, and I found a very interesting birthing image, and I think we can look at this as a book image, so that it would look like mocked up as a book. Yeah, so that's it. Let me go back to the other one. You have any opinions? If you like it, if you hate it, if you want me to scrap the entire book and start all over, that was called a joke. Then let me know what you think. So the other thing that we're going to do today is wrap up the last four thought bubbles for the whoops. So that's my biggest whoops there. There we go. For the 12 global challenges. And that's going to be habitat, ecology, media, and spiritual cultural. And I'll explain each one of those as we get to them. But the thing about the that we're doing with these is looking at, number one, what is your intention regarding the 12 global challenges? Not what's my intention, what's Sharif talking about, etc. But what are you going to do? Because our planet is made up of about 8 billion hues. And how you pay attention, how you get distracted, how you get involved, what you get involved in is all a part of your consciousness and your intention. What I've been trying to do for the past, let's say 40, 50 years or so, is elevate our consciousness. Elevate the consciousness to the point that we actually can take effective action and not go running around in circles, um, yeah, literally chasing our own tails, literally fighting battles that don't need to get fought, supporting people who don't need to get supported, not supporting the people who do need to get supported. How do we get ourselves focused here? Um, I remember this was back in the 80s, I think. Um, Barbara Streisand did a concert, and the concert was to save the earth. And this concert, um, the tickets cost $5,000 a seat. So if you sat in the seat, you paid a good bit of money to listen to Barbara Streisand and listen to this really, heartfelt. Oh, by the way, I saw it on video. I didn't pay $5,000 to sit in the seat. Um, the but I thought that she was very sincere. I thought it was very um, a real interesting plea, and the fact that you can raise $5 million in a night, in one night, I thought was pretty significant. And I've been advocating for the elimination of nuclear weapons for the longest time. Um, the weapons that simply can never be used. Um, but what she did with the $5 million is hand it to Senator Alan Cranston for his reelection campaign, as though reelecting a senator is going to end um, the proliferation of nuclear weapons. If she had done that for a campaign for us to understand what nuclear weapons are and understand how they work and understand we could never ever use them and it's immoral for us to even think about using them. So this is one way where the goal and the strategy to achieve the goal are completely separated. Now, we can't afford that. First of all, I can't afford it because I don't have $5 million. Second of all, we can't afford it because we don't have the time, we don't have the resources, we don't have the numbers to waste any of our time on pursuits like that. So, as we start looking again at the 12 global challenges, um, we first start with habitat. Now, when Dr. Ariaratne and I first started working on this, what he had was housing, and he was saying that everybody needs a decent place to live, and so no arguments there. But I was thinking about how do we expand that? And how do we expand that to understand that the issue is housing, but it's more than housing. It's about habitat. It's about where you live. No, I shouldn't say no one. Okay. Very few of us live in isolation. Like your house is out in the woods somewhere and you can run around your house and never see another human being. That's called isolation. Most of us live in some kind of a community, and we are living with people. We are living with neighbors. Sometimes those neighbors are friends, and sometimes those neighbors are enemies. The um, uh, we live with cars, we live with apartment buildings, we live with lots and lots of stuff. And we need to start thinking about all of this in terms of habitat, not in terms of um, uh, just my house. A lot of us live inside of our houses and basically say, screw the neighbors. This is a very American concept. And we need to stop doing that. I mean, we will, if things go the way I think they're about to go, we will rely on our neighbors for our lives. Let me say one more thing about that and then get to the other three. Um, I've been friends with Daniel Kemmis, who at one point in time in his life was the mayor of Missoula, Montana. Um, he runs a foundation now, and he was talking to me about growing up in eastern Montana. He's probably the most rural person I've ever met. Clearly the most rural person I've ever met in the United States. And he said, when we were growing up, we relied on our neighbors for our lives. He says we could not exist in rural Montana without relying on our neighbors. We relied on them at harvest time, at planting time, at lambing time. What I never figured out what lambing is. I never thought of a lamb as a verb. But we relied on them. And he said, we didn't like our neighbors. We didn't like anything about them. My mother thought they cursed too much. I thought they drank too much. Didn't want us playing with their children. But when crunch time came, we needed them for our lives, and they needed us for their lives. Now, how many of us have that kind of a connection with our neighbors now? I like my neighbors in this apartment building. I really do. But I don't need them for anything. We had some young folks move out. Well, young folks. Anybody younger than me is called young folks. There's some young folks, under 50 people, under 50 years old people that moved out the other week, and I will miss them, but I didn't need them for anything. They didn't need me for anything. So we start talking about habitat and all of the beings that live in your habitat. We start thinking about things in a very different way, and start thinking about the fact that some of the human beings in this habitat right here called Portland, Oregon, don't have houses to live in, don't have decent ways to live. What we need to be doing is recognizing that that housing is a moral imperative, that we as moral people can't have part of our population living out on the streets. So I guess I would say one more thing. This is true, but one of the retorts is, well, some people like living on the streets. Some people are so drug addicted, etc., that they can't function inside of a dwelling. Some people are so traumatized by war and other traumas that they can't function on their own. Okay, well, we have to help them function, and we need to get cracking on doing that. We can't have the luxury of just saying, "Oh, those people like living like that." That I think is copping out of our responsibility. We do have a responsibility. The state does not have that responsibility, or let me say that more correctly: The state does have that responsibility, and they've been blowing it. Okay. They don't know how to respond to it because they don't know how to respond with both head and heart. We do. And I should say, we do, and we're learning. And that's why the task is going to be up to us. And why by us, I don't mean all human beings. I mean the people who are paying attention and being mindful. Um, okay, so let's look at the next issue on our 12 global challenges, and that's the ecology. And I'm going to spend the least amount of time on that because we spend so much time on it in our daily lives. Everything is ecology, ecology, ecology. I don't mean to disparage that. I am saying that we need to get a grip on our approach to it. We don't understand what we're saying when we talk about global climate change. What breakers have been doing is, first of all, breaking the ecology. We're busting it pretty well, and we're seeing the consequences of shoveling tons and tons of particulate matter into the sky and watching the earth heating up. Okay, we see that, but what we want is for everything to be exactly the way it has been before. We have to stop wanting that. We have to change to say, how are we going to be living on a dynamic and active earth? That may mean that we change our own behaviors. So all the corporations are saying, how can I make as much money as I'm making right now or more and save the ecology? The answer is you can't, which means that you may be making less money. You may be making no money. You may be getting put out of business completely. All of that's okay. All of that can support life. Our goal is life, not your profits. So our challenge is, how do we love and respect our mother? And that's why I put the image of the Gaia image on the cover of the book. How do we love and respect our Earth Mother, even when she's kicking our butts for messing things up? I think I mentioned in one of these videos that I was in on the island of Bali when Mount Agnun erupted. Nothing that gets your attention more than earthquakes and volcano eruptions. You have this notion that the earth is solid and it doesn't move. We live on, like, with skim of a molten ball, and the molten part comes through from time to time. And the only thing I want to talk about, there's several lessons I learned from Mount Agnun erupting, but one of them was the response of the Balinese. All of these posters started going up saying, blessings to Mount Agnun, gentle Mount Agnun. You know, you are in control. There's no question about who's running this show. And all the Westerners are running around. What are we going to do? How can I get away from this? Or how can we control this volcano eruption? And what we need to do is um, first of all, chill. Second of all, recognize that we don't have control. Third, recognize that when we are in the flow of life, we'll know the right thing to do. And if you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, remember the images I put up of the people who wait 18 months, wait till the last hour, and then run out into the streets and everybody dies. We're not those people. We're looking ahead and we're looking at what we need to be doing and we're looking at how we need to respond. I have to make a decision right now. And the decision I'm going to make is whether or not I'm going to try to do the last two right now and go like 15, 20 minutes over, or wait until next time. And I feel that both of these issues, the issues of media and the issues of our spiritual, cultural, global challenge, are way too big to try to rush through. And I would rather us take the time to go through these um, uh, go through these issues with um, some focus. So we're going to do that for our next gathering. Um, so next time we'll do media, and by media I just don't mean television, radio, etc. It's how do we, as human beings, communicate with other human beings? Ants leave pheromone trails, and um, researchers can mess with. Oh, well, they call it researching ants. I call it messing with the ants' lives by just taking a bottle of pheromone and drawing new paths for the ants. We look at that and say, "Oh, that's too bad. They're kind of messing with their heads." But the there are folks who are controlling our behavior with the equivalent of the pheromone trail, which is our media, the internet, all of the elements that go into the internet. I was just reading a BBC article talking about um, these young entrepreneurs selling a beverage um, that contained 400 milligrams of caffeine. You shouldn't even be allowed to sell that, but they sell it because they're making money on it, and they're making tons of money because on their YouTube channel they've got 48 million viewers. Now, our challenge is um, how do we respond to that in such a way to get people to think? Now, if you're taking 400 milligrams of caffeine, you probably don't even want to think. You just want to sit there and buzz all day long. But there are lots of people who do want to think, who want to learn how to think. And that brings me to my last point, because my time is about up. I've come across a couple of us on this call and who will be going through the recording, who are saying to me, I want to talk to other people about a world that works for all. I want to talk to other people about the nation of Gaia. I want to talk to them but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to bring up the topic. I don't know how to um, like they'll look at me and say, "Well, when you answer a question, it sounds great, but when I try to do it, I'm stumbling all over the place." Well, it sounds great because I've been doing this for 40 years plus, okay? But it it also I have lots and lots of opportunities in talking with lots and lots of different people to express myself. I can help people do those early conversations, get comfortable in the early conversations. Um, I don't know why, but I've always been comfortable talking with people, and I don't, and I've never had a well. This person's really important. I'm going to get nervous talking to the president of the blah, blah, blah. It's like no, they're just another person. So, it in some capacity, I'm going to do. If you are so in some capacity, if you are interested, I'm going to do conversations on and trainings on how to have conversations with people about this transformation that we're talking about and not feel self-conscious, not feel stupid, not feel um, that they're going to they're going to attack you or anything like that. So stay tuned in the near future for those open-ended conversations on how to get started talking with people about a world that works for all. Um, I- I'll have more also have more information on Friday about the course that we are talking about in September, starting in September, on power and power aspects. And we're going to be that much closer to the launch date for birthing the nation of Gaia. Okay, here we go. May all people be well. May all beings be well. May all beings be secure, and may all beings be happy. Thanks a lot, and I look forward to seeing you next time.